result of those tornado tracks have been impacted in one way or another. We continue to get damage reports in. We've been focusing on search and rescue. That's a priority for us. The initial damage assessments, which gives us the numbers that we need to try to see what our options are just now getting underway. The more complex and detailed preliminary damage assessments with our FEMA partners will probably start in the next day or so. But this kind of gives you an indication of the impact that this state has seen from these storms. So I'm going to cover several things, and I've got Jim Craig with the Department of Health, Kim McGee, the Deputy Commissioner of Public Safety, and Mark Landry, our Federal Coordinating Officer from FEMA, who arrived on scene today. I told you yesterday he's en route, so he did. As of just a few minutes ago, we've had a total of 12 fatalities confirmed. Now, I know that many of you may have numbers that differ from that slightly, but keep in mind that we report numbers only when the coroner has confirmed the fatalities, because officially the coroner is the only one in this state can actually confirm a fatality. So 9 of those are in Winston County, 1 in Rankin, 1 in Issaquena, 1 in Lee. In Louisville, and I know that Mr. Craig will talk about this, the Winston County Medical Center was severely damaged as a result of the tornado. Currently taking no patients, major structural damage, and I said he'll talk about that. Also talk about the short-term, long-term plans for health care in that area, because it's obviously been impacted severely. The nursing home that was adjacent to the hospital also was damaged, and patients had to be moved. We've got 16 counties that are reporting damage, and damage continues to come in. As I said, some of those are a little more severe than others. Obviously, you know that Lee County, the Tupelo area, was impacted. Winston County, town of Louisville, Rankin County, just a couple of miles from here, tornado hit a trailer park last night. I know many of you have seen that. I visited with the mayor last night and then went to Brandon to visit with the mayor there. And we've got damage in Brandon as well. And I'm sure that you've seen already some of the surveys conducted by the National Weather Service. The tornado that actually skirted this area just north of the EOC was an EF3. I think they're reporting an EF4 in Winston County. I believe maybe an EF2 in Rankin County. So it's been a long 24 hours for us. Our staff from all the agencies have been just tremendous. We have a lot of assets and resources that we've pushed out, including about 100 National Guard troops. Deputy Commissioner, I'm sure will brief you on the public safety efforts and what we're doing there. Security is one of the primary concerns. With power outages, you always have the potential for looting. So we're making sure that local assets, what always happens in an event like this, local officials say that we can handle this, and they can do that for about 24 hours till they just totally run out of steam. And we're trying to make sure that we've got assets that we can push and backfill that. They're going to have a break at some point in time. So that's been our plan all along, to make sure that we can do that. The volunteer efforts continue to bear fruit. We've got, as we mentioned yesterday, volunteermississippi.org. We encourage citizens that want to volunteer to not self-deploy. As you can imagine, when volunteers come to an area without being requested or coordinated by the appropriate authorities and organizations that can leverage those assets productively, then it means that we have to try to support those volunteers that are there, that we've got work for them to do. So it's important that they register through that volunteermississippi.org so that we can track those. We're using our volunteer organizations, Active in Disasters, VOAD, to coordinate those volunteers, as well as donations of goods. And I want to again caution all of you that may be wanting to donate and send things to the area to help, understand that the best intentions of donating goods sometimes does not bode well for the community that's been impacted, because it is a tremendous task to collect those donated goods, sort them in a way that can get to the victims and the survivors. So we need to make sure that the kinds of things that are being donated are things that can actually be used. So if you want to help, donate to your local charity, someone that can help put the money to good use, because there are going to be lots of needs. Recovery is going to be long and hard, as it always is. We have our area coordinators in Itawamba, Lee, and Winston counties working with local officials, trying to coordinate the efforts to ensure that state assets are put where they need to be, to give me good situational awareness so that we can brief the governor and say, we've got a gap here, we've got a gap there, so that we can put those assets out there to ensure local officials have the things that they need. Search and rescue teams continue to search the area. There's a 200-acre debris field specifically in Winston County where there are still 3 individuals that, as far as we know, are still unaccounted for. That does not mean that they're fatalities. It just means that we don't know where they are. So we're trying to verify and account for those 3 individuals. National Guard, as I said, we've got 100 troops totally deployed in Lee County, 50 in Lee County, 50 more in Winston County, helping local officials there with security. Power outages, as of a few minutes ago, are still about 27,510. Our incident management team from FEMA is also in the State Emergency Operations Center, integrating with our staff and the state staff and our unified command to make sure that we get the things that we need when and if that the declaration is granted by the President. Appreciate Mark and his team being here. They're good. They're experienced. He has a lot of experience under his belt. He comes from having spent a good bit of time in Vermont when the post-Sandy Recovery Act was passed. It offered a lot of options in how disaster assistance, especially public assistance and debris management, is handled, to be able to use the potential for pilot programs that could be used here should we get the declaration. So we appreciate them being here. At this time, I'll call on Deputy Commissioner McGee to kind of give an update on DPS's activity.
Thank you, Rob. Good evening. Department of Public Safety has and will maintain a vigilant presence in the affected areas. We have in excess of 100 state troopers that have been deployed to the affected areas, as well as law enforcement strike teams activated through the Mississippi Department of Homeland Security. Those numbers have also been augmented by the 155th Brigade Combat Team, by the Mississippi Army National Guard. We've got an additional 100 troops there to aid us in our search and rescue efforts, as well as securing the affected areas, the damaged areas. We will maintain that presence as long as needed to assist the local authorities there, as this, again, this is an ongoing operation. Search and rescue does continue, as well as securing the damaged areas to prevent looting. One of the things after my assessment today on the ground, I cannot overemphasize enough to the public, please stay out of these affected areas. Resist that urge to go and see the damage. It's hampering efforts to get these, to start clearing debris, etc. So please stay away. There'll be plenty of opportunity later on to go and view the damage, but at this time, it's hampering efforts. I cannot overemphasize that enough. Traffic is very heavy in the affected areas at this time. Please stay at home. As far as looting, things like that, again, we will have an enhanced presence during the night and throughout the day. We'll be checking IDs to make sure that only those allowed into the affected areas are residents of those areas or belong there. If you are caught looting, you will be dealt with, as the governor says, with extreme prejudice. It will not be tolerated. We're going to be there. We're going to be there to prevent it. Any questions on that?
Getting in the way. Can you explain that?
It's just, you can imagine this, a lot of stuff going on, happening at one time. You've got search and rescue operations. You've got debris being cleared, people trying to secure their homes. Maybe there's damage to roofs and things. They're trying to get in there, get trees off, get tarps on the roofs before the next storms come through. So with all that, along with sightseers, it can get quite chaotic really quick. So just the best thing you can do to help right now is please stay home. Watch it on the TV. There's plenty of good news footage out there. I'm sure you guys are covering it very well. So stay home, stay out of the way, and that's the best way to help us right now.
You guys are dealing with a lot of sightseers in these areas?
There is a lot of sightseers, yes, unfortunately. Thank you.
At this time, thank you, Ken. I'll call on Jim Craig with the Department of Health to give you an update on the healthcare situation, specifically in Winston County, and what the Department of Health is doing. Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Latham. As Robert said, this morning we sent out some life safety code inspection teams to the Winston County area to give an initial assessment on the damage to the facilities themselves. The results of that assessment indicated that the Winston County Medical Center, as well as the Winston County Nursing Home, have experienced some significant damage. Nursing home patients that were sheltered at one of the local churches in Winston County have now been, for the most part, located with either their families, other loved ones, or moved to some additional facilities as more of an interim solution as they work to plan for their nursing home and hospital. Also, we spoke with the medical community there, a number of physicians in the area, and they're very, very committed to trying to rebuild their facilities and to continue services in the Winston County area, and we'll be working with them in the recovery part of this event to try to help them be successful in doing that and providing those important services. In the meantime, one of our state field hospitals remains in Winston County, along with medical teams from University of Mississippi Medical Center and other healthcare facilities around the state, providing services in the Winston County area. To date, those teams have treated and transported 31 adults and 6 children. Of those, 12 adults and 3 children were considered critical. They've also treated and released approximately 100 patients that were impacted by the storm. On another note, boil water continues in the state of Mississippi in a number of the impacted areas. We currently have 6 water systems that are under boil water notices that service approximately 14,422 residents in our state. Robert, that's our update.
Thank you, Jim. At this time, I'll call on Mark Landry, our Federal Coordinating Officer, for comments, and FEMA and the FEMA team. As all of you have seen time and time again, FEMA is a tremendous partner in this effort. This is truly a local, state, federal effort, as the response always is, but even more importantly in the recovery. So, Mark.
Thank you, Director. Myself as Federal Coordinating Officer and potentially the Federal Coordinating Officer, should there be a presidential declaration, along with our incident management team, have really blended in a very seamless way, in a very joint way here with a very intense response operation that's going on across the state of Mississippi, being coordinated here from the Emergency Operations Center. And as the Director has said, we've been brought in, had the opportunity to brief the governor here just recently on what we're able to do right now, how we're able to lean forward to the extent we can and use the authorities that we have available to us in the federal government to support you in advance, and potentially, should there be a president declaration, we'll be leaning forward and be able to move very, very quickly. So we're very honored to be part of your team. We've been in Mississippi before. You have a great reputation for supporting the citizens, and here at your invitation, our Governor, we'll do the best we can to continue to support you, Director.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. First, let me say, you see three agencies represented here, but there are a lot more of them here on the EOC floor, working behind the scenes, state employees working really hard, 24/7, as long as it takes, to ensure we help the communities get back on their feet. So while we get the opportunity to stand out here before you and get a lot of credit or blame, whatever the case may be, there are employees, agency heads doing a lot of good things. Volunteers, donations, all of those things are critically important and will be in the recovery. There are always citizens that, regardless of whatever programs are available, tend to slip through the cracks. And our job and responsibility to them is that when people have lost everything, we have to leverage whatever assets and resources we can to help them get back on their feet. And that's what we intend to do. Keep in mind that the weather is still bad. I mean, we still have the potential for some severe weather tonight. I'm hoping by the time that the sun comes up in the morning that maybe we can get into some clear weather and then can move on and get about the business of recovery. So that concludes our prepared remarks, and I'm sure any of us be glad to take any questions that you might have of us. I'm sorry. Yeah, and we did put out something earlier today, I think, at the Department of Health on some precautions after the storm. Obviously, carbon monoxide generators. Do not put a generator in the house and plug it in. It generates carbon monoxide. I mean, we've already had loss of life. We don't need people doing things that don't make any sense that could, cause illness or potentially death. So if you've got any questions about that, also just they need to keep in mind that there are down power lines. Some of these lines could still be charged. You have tree limbs laying on charged lines that could cause death. People want to get the debris off their property. I understand that, but there's a potential for people to lose their life now when they don't need to. Just wait, be patient. You'll have the time to recover when the weather's better, but just don't do anything foolish at this point. So we'll be glad to take any questions if you have any.
What are we looking at weather-wise tonight, especially for the metro area, but across the state?
Yeah, Trez, the report I got a little while ago is that, and I saw the radar, we had a little storm come through here a while ago, so you've got this heat, you've got all this moisture that's being pulled up from the Gulf. We don't expect it to be as serious as it was yesterday, but there's still the potential for some isolated supercells, some long, strong tornadoes. So I think we've got a lot of first responders, public safety, National Guard, search and rescue, people that are on the ground. So we're trying to make sure that we protect them, secure them. But our citizens need to understand, too, that we're not totally out of this yet. Don't let their guard down. Be prepared to take cover, have a way to get the alert and the warning should it be issued by the National Weather Service. Have a place to go. If you live in a mobile home, do not stay there if there's a tornado warning. Get out of there. Have a safe place to go.
Have you had an opportunity to view any of the damage in the north? What is your assessment? What have you seen compared to what we've had in the past?
As you know, the governor spent the day with the deputy commissioner, and they've been to Tupelo, Louisville, visited with local officials, toured the damage. When I left here last night about 11:30, I went and met with the mayor of Pearl, just a short distance from here, trailer park that was severely damaged. Visited with him, offered him some guidance and assistance on how you manage debris on private property, certainly making sure that he does things that needs to do, but not things that he shouldn't do. Then left there and met and toured damage in Brandon area. So I've seen the debris, I've seen the damage locally. I went to the community center in the city of Pearl where we had citizens that were taken from the mobile home park last night, and they spent the night there, so visited with them. I will be leaving either tonight or first thing in the morning going to Tupelo. We'll be there with local officials to start the process of recovery, and then we'll leave there and go to Louisville either late tomorrow afternoon or the next day. So I suspect I'll be in the field for the next 3 or 4 days.
Compare this to what you have seen in the past. How does this compare to?
Yeah, I've been asked many times to compare disasters, and I don't do that simply because tell a family who has lost everything they have, that's not as bad as the last one I saw. I just don't go there, because if there's only one family that's lost everything, it doesn't get any worse than that. So I'm not trying to be short. I just don't like to compare devastation because it's bad.
To kind of take that in a different direction, though, I know that each one of these things is kind of personal for you guys that are working on them. What does it do to you when you're going on no sleep and you're dealing with this stuff, and it's your state? How do you feel about it?
I think, Therese, when you look at the fatalities, and you always ask yourself, was there one other interview, one other thing that I could have said, one other press release that could have saved one more life, and you just do what you can.
Are there any updates to the children that were possibly in that daycare?
Yeah.
Obviously, there's still a good bit of search and rescue work that's occurring there. One of the confirmed deaths that we did receive was the manager of that particular facility, but we have not had any other reports of children being in the facility at the time of the tornado that have been hurt, that have been confirmed.
So the search for the missing continues?
I think the search for some of the missing continue, and there is still a lot of debris, but as far as accountability, as far as we know right now, all the children have been accounted for.
Also, you guys mentioned the 6 water systems.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell us where those are?
I can. I'm pretty sure. The Zama Water Association in Atala County, the Hawani Water Association in Wayne County. The city of Louisville has actually 2 systems, the city of Louisville and the city of Louisville Northeast. Both of those systems are on Wall Water. North Covington Water, Association and the Southwest Lauderdale Association in Lauderdale. That's, again, about 14,422 customers or connections to those water systems.
So these are just boil water alerts?
They're boil water notices, and they're out there in the most part because of pressure loss on a system due to a power outage in those areas.
So is anyone at this point shipping in water or anything to anyone?
I know that MEMA Logistics, as the local emergency managers have requested water, have tried to fill those bottled water requests as they've been received.
And then also, in the city of Pearl, where we are, obviously, a lot of roof damage. People are looking for tarps. Should they be going out and buying those themselves, or is someone helping them with that, issuing them?
Yeah, let me address that. Then that's always a challenge for us. And I know during Hurricane Katrina, when everything was destroyed and there was no place to get the things that you needed, we, put up pod sites, points of distribution, and give out water, baby formula, tarps, those kind of things. We believe very strongly that in communities where stores are open, it's important for those that can to go buy them. That supports the economy of the community. So the last thing we need to be doing as government is giving stuff away, and people are trying to sell it that make their living. So yes, there are those that can't afford it. We are pushing out tarps. We cannot meet every need, but if we have citizens in need, local officials are asking for it, we're providing those tarps. They try to screen those as best they can. But if citizens can certainly afford it, go, because when you spend that money, it generates tax revenue that supports the very community that needs to recover. But we're pushing those commodities out to make sure that they have what they need to protect from any further damage to that home.
But for those that can't get
Yes.
them, can't
Yeah.
purchase them financially, where can they go to?
They go to the local emergency management office, and we're pushing them out to them so that they pretty much know who can afford and who can't, and then they'll give them to those they know that can't afford them, because we don't want people to have further damage to their property if we can, prevent it.
Are we any further along with our emergency
Yeah.
declaration, President?
We are finalizing the numbers now. The only thing we lacked was some really good data on the number of homes that have been impacted, and we still, like I said, these initial damage assessments, and those numbers are likely to change as we go into the more detailed preliminary damage assessments jointly with FEMA and local officials. But I'm hoping, and the goal is to get that signed tonight. We're finalizing the detail. In fact, that's what the governor's doing right now, is going over that request so that he can hopefully put his signature on it before the end of the night and get it to FEMA headquarters, and I'm sure they'll turn it around quickly. We look for that to happen pretty quickly.
What are some of those numbers from housing, structural damage?
I'm sorry, I missed.
Structural damage, some of those numbers?
Yeah, I can give you some of those numbers. Lowndes County, we've got 35 homes with major damage, 40 homes with minor damage, and 15 more that have been affected in one way or another. One business was destroyed. In Rankin County, 37 mobile homes destroyed, 12 with major damage, 11 with minor damage, 59 have been affected. Simpson County, 2 homes destroyed, 5 homes with major damage, 15 more with minor damage. We haven't got our numbers from Lee County and the city of Tupelo yet. I mean, obviously, they've got their hands full right now. And obviously, we don't have the figures, firm figures from Winston County and Louisville, because they've been focusing on search and rescue. But those are the 2 areas where we expect the numbers to be much higher, obviously. So the numbers are going to go up considerably as we get into the Winston County and the Lee County numbers. Anything else? Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
On MPB.